An active crime scene and a person of interest in custody. We have a live report from Gloversville.
Questions for the chief, Albany's new police leader, grilled as he prepares to combat crime.
Manafort and Cohen guilty. 2 major legal cases and not favorably for the president's former allies.
And graffiti at the Egg. Orange paint is found sprayed on the well-known landmark.
Could be a wet morning commute for tomorrow. What about the rest of the day? And what about the early call on the weekend? I'll have your full forecast.
We begin tonight with breaking news where police are still in the scene of an incident in Gloversville.
Officers say they've made an arrest after a man was reportedly assaulted. CBS 6's Heather Kovar is live on James Street right now. Heather, it's still a very active scene tonight.
Yes, it is. You can see police are still on the scene. And just up until about 30 minutes ago, I was watching as workers in white hazmat suits were still coming in and out of the building here on 15 James. Let me give you a little look here. They do have the building still taped off. Neighbors tell me that no one was supposed to be living here, but they say some known squatters were living here and that they have made numerous complaints in the past that this is a drug house. Now, we have some video for you. It's a look at investigators as they continue to work the scene late into the night. Gloversville police say about 9 this morning, they were called to check out a man walking, wearing only a t-shirt, boxers, and a towel around his head. They figured out that he had been assaulted, and then they learned that that happened here on James. They got a warrant, and they came back here and took someone into custody from this building. Now, we also have some pictures that a neighbor sent us from earlier in the day. You can see the SWAT team here. They also had canines in use. Police say the warrant here before they took someone into custody was executed by members of the New York State Police Special Operations Response Team and the Glove City's Emergency Response Team. They say that the suspect was taken without incident. Now, neighbors told me at one point they weren't even allowed outside of their homes, but tonight Gloversville police say that they do not believe that anyone else is in any danger and that they do have more information on what happened about this case, but they're not going to release that until tomorrow, and we will definitely bring that to you. Reporting live in Gloversville, Heather Kovar, CBS 6 News.
A blue wave in November means open borders, which means massive crime. A red wave means safety and strength. That's what it is.
Developing now, President Trump holding a rally with supporters tonight in the wake of back-to-back legal blows.
Now, the president chose not to comment on today's big developments. We saw former Trump attorney Michael Cohen take a plea deal and former Trump campaign chair Paul Manafort convicted.
Manafort was found guilty of 8 of 18 charges. The judge declared a mistrial on the other 10 counts. He was convicted of hiding tens of millions of dollars in income. This trial was the first to stem from special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation.
Mr. Cohen admitted to 8 charges, including campaign finance violations related to attempts to silence women he believed could damage the president's campaign. Cohen will face time behind bars at his sentencing that's currently set to happen in December. And new tonight, Governor Cuomo continuing a war of words with President Trump, referencing Cohen's guilty plea in a tweet tonight. The governor directed the tweet at the president, saying, quote, "New York has had your number from the beginning, and now the rest of the world does too," end quote.
All new tonight, the city of Albany approves its next police chief. Albany's Common Council voted unanimously to confirm Chief Eric Hawkins at their meeting tonight. Members of the council asked him a wide range of questions before the vote. The chief says he's been following news of this summer's uptick in violent crime here in Albany quite closely.
I know from my experience that the way that there's improvement and the way out is, first, you have to make sure that those men and women who are out there serving and who are out there doing the things to help this community get out of some of these things, make sure that they're treated properly.
Hawkins was most recently chief in Southfield, Michigan. It's a suburb of Detroit. Albany has been without a full-fledged police chief for over a year. The acting chief, Robert Sears, had been overseeing operations since Chief Brendan Cox retired in 2017. We're also Continuing to follow a developing story out of Albany tonight where police are investigating an officer-involved shooting. Albany police say 19-year-old Elazar Williams of Binghamton is in critical but stable condition after he was shot by police yesterday afternoon. Police tell us 3 detectives responded to a report of a fight and a man with a gun at the 200 block of Central Avenue. When they arrived, police say the detectives tried to stop Williams because he matched the reported description of a man with a gun, but that he ran. Police say at some point shots were fired and Williams was hit. They say a hunting knife was found afterward, but no gun. Officials at the Center for Law and Justice in Albany tell us the community is anxious for answers.
I think the department needs to know that that kind of information is circulating and that it's causing some concerns in the community. And I understand, you know, that the police department is investigating it so that they might not have many answers to give. But I think the community is looking for somebody to tell them a little bit more.
Yesterday, police told us that while patrol officers have body cameras, detectives do not. At least not yet. So there won't be body camera video to use in this investigation. But there are a number of cameras in the school, and police say they will try to use them.
A suspected shooter in Berkshire County is under arrest. His alleged victim is in critical condition tonight. Pittsfield police arrested 19-year-old Kevin Nieves this evening after a search in the October State Forest. That's where police say another 19-year-old was shot. Right now, the district attorney's office says they can't say if the victim and Nieves know each other. Nieves faces several charges tonight, including armed assault with intent to murder, illegal possession of a firearm, kidnapping, and assault and battery. He's expected to be arraigned tomorrow morning. Right now, Mary Beth Tinning, the Schenectady woman convicted of killing her infant daughter and suspected of killing 7 of her 8 other children, is now a free woman. Tinning was released on parole after being sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. She served 31 years of that sentence. A jury convicted the Schenectady resident of killing her 9th child, 4-month-old Tammy Lynn, in December 1985. She was one of Mary Beth and Joseph Tinning's 8 young children to die between 1972 and 1985 under suspicious circumstances. Tinning is now under community supervision in an undisclosed location.
Right now, authorities are still trying to track down the suspect in an armed robbery of a store in East Greenbush. Police say the suspect entered the Discount Flooring store, it's on Troy Road, yesterday, waving a knife and demanding money. The suspect is described as tall and lanky. He was last seen wearing a white shirt and pants with paint on them. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. Rescue crews are searching Lake Champlain for a missing man near Rouse's Point Bridge. The emergency crews, including Vermont State Police, are looking for a man about 5'11", last seen wearing a blue shirt. Agencies are searching on the ground and from overhead. The search, though, has ended for the night. It should resume tomorrow. Anyone who might have seen the man or has any information is urged to call Vermont State Police.
All new tonight, state police say they've caught the suspects behind this graffiti found on the roof of the Egg. Troopers say early Sunday morning they received reports of 4 people that had scaled a fence and climbed up the scaffolding to the roof of the Egg. 30-year-old William Grimes and 34-year-old David Zerpoli were both arrested and charged with criminal mischief for tagging the roof with orange spray paint. Troopers say Grimes was also responsible for tagging other locations on the Empire State Plaza with chalk and spray paint. The 2 other suspects were arrested for trespassing but not charged because they did not cause any damage. And we now have the results of a community health questionnaire regarding the potential fallout of PFOA water contamination in Hoosick Falls, Petersburg, and Bennington. Faculty and students at Bennington College conducted this study looking into illnesses potentially linked to PFOA. They say it's a preliminary snapshot of the community's understanding of its own health. Researchers report 31 cases of kidney cancer, 11 cases of testicular cancer, and 231 cases of thyroid disease. The state DOH says it will use the survey's results for a future study.
There are new details tonight in the suspected murder of Molly Tibbetts. She's a University of Iowa student who was missing for more than a month. Investigators say 24-year-old Christian Rivera led them to what is believed to be her body. Rivera is an undocumented immigrant from Mexico and is charged now with her murder. Police say Rivera admits to stalking her while she was on a run the day she disappeared.
He ran alongside of her or behind her. And then at one point, he tells us that Molly grabbed a hold of her phone and said, "You need to leave me alone. I'm going to call the police." and then she took off running. He in turn chased her down, and then he tells us that at some point in time he blacks out.
Police say Rivera had been in the country for 4 to 7 years. An autopsy on what's suspected to be Tibbetts' body is scheduled for tomorrow. New tonight, the former Syracuse mayor, Stephanie Miner, has secured her place on the November ballot for governor. She submitted more than 40,000 voter signatures today. Miner is running as an independent on the Serve America movement ballot line. She will face the Republican candidate, Mark Molinaro, and the winner of next month's Democratic primary between the incumbent Andrew Cuomo and Cynthia Nixon.
Tonight, a former Nazi labor camp guard who has been living in the U.S. for decades has been deported to Germany after years of diplomatic wrangling. 95-year-old Yaakov Pauli had been living out his post-war years in Queens. In a statement, the White House said he lied to U.S. immigration officials about his role in World War II, saying he worked on a farm and in a factory. In 2001, he finally admitted to the Department of Justice he had in fact trained and worked at a Nazi labor camp in 1941. He was the last known Nazi death camp guard living in the U.S. Officials had tried to deport him for years, but officials say none of the eligible European countries would take him.
Coming up next, an EpiPen emergency.
The desperate measures the FDA is taking as the EpiPen shortage continues into the school year.
Plus, a new airline at Albany International flying direct to your favorite vacation destinations. The sweet deal they're offering travelers right now.
And some heavy downpours right now showing up on the satellite and radar. We'll time this all out because it does impact your morning commute. Talk about that the rest of Wednesday, and we'll get the early call on your weekend as well. Be right back.
Caught on video, the Sacramento Fire Department is putting you right there on the scene of a dangerous fire in this amazing helmet cam video. It shows crews trying to put out a fire while down power lines snap and explode nearby. Sacramento Fire says this is just one example of the several hazards firefighters have to deal with every day. The FDA is extending the expiration date for some EpiPens, the move coming on the heels of a months-long shortage. The expiration extension applies to specific auto injectors with expiration dates between April 2018 and December 2018. The FDA says it is continuing to work closely with the EpiPen's manufacturer on a solution to their production issues.
Google is under fire tonight after being accused of tracking the movements of millions of cell phone users regardless of their privacy settings. A lawsuit filed last week claims that Google is monitoring and storing users' movements even when the location history on their phones is turned off. The plaintiff, a San Diego resident, is seeking class action status on behalf of all U.S. users of Android and Apple smartphones who have the tracking feature turned off. Google has yet to comment on the suit. And new tonight, a recent study on gender roles in the U.S. found that where a woman is born has a major impact on how much she works and earns. Researchers analyzed decades of statistics about women's roles in society, and they found that sexist attitudes are most prevalent in the Southeast and least prevalent on the West Coast and in New England. New York, well, was one of many of the states found to be somewhere in between all that. Researchers also found in states where sexism is more widespread, women tend to get married and have children at a much younger age.
A new airline will soon be offering nonstop flights from Albany to Florida. Allegiant Airlines says it plans to fly directly to Fort Myers, Orlando, and Tampa beginning December 12th. To celebrate the discount, Allegiant is offering one-way fares starting at $59. Each of the flights will fly 3 times per week, but in the spring, Allegiant says they will be flying to Florida daily.
Some of the state's lowest unemployment rates last month were in and around the capital region. According to the state labor department, Glens Falls had the lowest rate among metropolitan areas at 3.5%. The Albany-Schenectady-Troy region tied for second with 3.8%. Both areas showed a significant drop in unemployment from this time last year.
CBS 6